Welcome in. I'm Brian Edwards of MajorWager.com, and we're talking about the NBA playoffs today. And we are going to focus in on the Toronto Raptors and their game one struggles. We'll also get to quite a few other things. Bravo, Patrick Beverley, for your effort last night. Great game with the Clippers. We're going to talk a little Denver, San Antonio for tonight as well. And we'll also get into a little more Boston Celtics as they take on Milwaukee in game one. But let's first start with Toronto's game one struggles. How bad have they been? I mean, you have to remember the just horrible shooting out of Kyle Lowry and DeMar DeRozan back when he was with Toronto, now in San Antonio. And they've just been awful. In fact, Toronto is now 1-10, both straight up and against the spread in game ones in the NBA playoffs going back to 2014. They've been in the postseason every year since 2014. And in every game one to open a series, they are a abysmal 1-10, both straight up and against the spread. And Kyle Lowry's struggles is one of the main reasons for it. He was awful again in game one of the last series. As you'll remember, Orlando pulled an upset of the Raptors in game one. So I am looking at Philadelphia plus the 6 when they meet this weekend. Joel Embiid, he was either questionable or doubtful for the first 4 games of the opening round series, but in the last 2 games, and he was initially not even on the injury report before game 5, but then he was probable. But look, he had been doubtful before game 4, and all he did was go out and play 30 minutes and just have one of just the more remarkable games we've seen in a long time. Also had the assist to Mike Scott for that go-ahead tray when they were down 1 in the final minute at Brooklyn. In the last 2 games, Embiid has only played a total of 50 minutes and change, a few seconds, whatever you see in the box score. But in those 50 minutes, 54 points, 29 rebounds, 6 block shots. He's handed out 9 assists. So I think the soreness in Embiid's knee is, barring a setback, no longer an issue. And Toronto's game one issues, even with Kawhi Leonard instead of DeMar DeRozan, those are clearly issues that they haven't gotten past. See game one against Orlando a week or so ago as an example. So fade Toronto in game one, and you could also get a little money line action on the 76ers if you wish, and the return is plus 210 or plus 220. I endorse that, but to be clear, units-wise, amount-wise, you definitely want to have more on Philadelphia plus the 6. In fact, I would suggest have quite a bit more on Philadelphia plus the 6 and just a little taste of the money line at generous plus 200 and change return for the 76ers. We like to look ahead in general in gambling circles to the next game, but I cannot go without just giving a little bravo, a little hat tip, if you will, to Patrick Beverley and the Clippers and Doc Rivers for forcing a game 6 back in LA at Staples Center. Now, what does it mean in the big scheme of things? Well, I think you see, I don't think it means much in terms of what's going to happen in game 6. In fact, I think you'll see a determined and focused Golden State team come out and play well. And in fact, I endorse a -4 first quarter play on the Warriors rather than laying the 9.5 because you always got a Lou Williams backdoor cover in play. I'd rather do the first quarter. They're going to come out pissed. They're going to come out focused, in my opinion. But what does it mean going forward? Well, I think other teams around the league see that although they won titles without all their titles, without DeMarcus Cousins, Andrew Bogut, I mean, I'm not saying he's playing bad, But he didn't have any blocked shots last night. And they don't really have that big time rim defender, that interior defender. Bogut's well past his prime. I'm not saying he's playing bad, but other teams see they don't have that rim defender. And I just think they see hope in knocking off Golden State. And looking back to Patrick Beverley, this guy is listed at 6'1" and 185 pounds. 6'1", 185. In an elimination game on the road as a 14, some spots were even 14 and a half, 15 point underdog. 6'1", he had 14 rebounds last night. He had 17 points. He had a steal. He had a 4-to-1 assist to turnover ratio, but 14 rebounds. That was more rebounds. Actually, that was twice as many rebounds as any player on Golden State. Draymond Green had 7 boards. So did Kevin Looney. Patrick Beverley, 14. That's toughness, that's effort, and that's heart. Danilo Gallinari, outstanding last night with 26. Lou Williams, 33 points, 10 assists, another night at the office. And, when I talk about Golden State's interior defense, you see how Montrezl Harrell is having a hell of a series. 11 of 14 from the field last night, 24 points, 5 boards, 2 assists, a block shot. Montrezl Harrell is attacking the rim with authority, and other teams see that. Bravo to the Clippers for forcing Game 6, although I do believe they will get eliminated. Now let's go to tonight. Denver, San Antonio. The updated series price at sportsbook.ag is the Nuggets minus 460 with the Spurs plus 360 on the comeback. Currently looking on the live odds right now, and this game will tip in about an hour and a half. The Spurs are minus 3. The total around 209.5 or 210. If you like the Nuggets on the money line, you can get them at plus 125, as this series, after San Antonio took a 2-1 series lead and Popovich seemed to be just working another masterful piece of art, if you will, as he always does. He was out coaching and leading the Spurs with a 2-1 advantage. But since really late second quarter of Game 4, this series has completely shifted, and Denver has dominated the second half of Game 4. They really dominated and won 117-103, and then they win Game 5, 108-90. This is a pass for me, but I'll throw out a bunch of nuggets so you can make up your mind. The Spurs are 33-10 straight up, 25-18 against the spread at home, whereas Denver is 21-22 straight up, 18-25 to the number. In Denver's road assignments this year, the over is 21-20-2. And as for San Antonio, even with both games at San Antonio, games 3 and 4 going over, even with that, the under is still 23-20 on the season for San Antonio. In its home games, the over is cashed at a 3-2 clip in this series. The under's coming in Game 1 and in Game 5. All right, let's look at the updated futures to win the NBA title. You've got Golden State now down to minus 140. I think they were minus 160 going into last night. Bucks are plus 500 or 5-1, risk 100 to win 500. Then you've got the Rockets at plus 650, Toronto 10-1, Boston 20-1, Denver 30-1, Philly 30-1, Portland 40-1, Spurs 250-1, Clippers 1,000-1. In our last video, I talked about how I like Boston, and the odds have gotten even better. They were 16-1 at the time. Now they're 20-1. I'm even more bullish on Boston in that future play. I also like them in Game 1. They've won 5 games in a row. They're 4-0-1 against the spread in that span. In their last 10 games as underdogs, the Celtics are 7-3 against the spread with 5 outright wins, and they've won outright in 5 consecutive road assignments. Let's remember, although Milwaukee swept just like Boston did, Milwaukee was facing a vastly inferior opponent in Detroit that did not have Blake Griffin in games 1 and 2. So I like Boston 20-1 to win it all. They're plus 240 on the series price with Milwaukee. I like that as well. And as for your series price on Toronto and Philly, Toronto's minus 240, Philly plus 200. I lean Philly there. I think it's worth a shot. I'm not endorsing it for a large amount by any means. If you're looking for odds to win each conference, you could also do a play Boston to win it all. You could do Boston at plus 550 to win the East. Milwaukee's even money to win the East. Toronto plus 220 and Philly plus 650. I'm Brian Edwards for MajorWager.com. Thanks for joining us.